Just giving it a few minutes, letting the other people come in, and then we'll kind of run through things. I'm gonna make some coffee or pick up right back in like 2 minutes. Don't worry, it's not a whole pot, just a cup. Give me just a minute.
And then we'll explore the whole shuffle and the whole day starting. For me personally, after the change, what would be the first place where I would feel comfortable submitting?
Wow, that filled out quick. All right, I'm back. All right, let me just do share. Ooh, we'll just do a quick run through on the market. I think things are kind of rebounding already. Interesting move on Bitcoin. I really think altcoins are kind of bottomed here. If not indefinitely, then definitely temporarily. But you got a lot of altcoins that basically double bottomed on the lows, double bottom here. We were just looking at sand, double bottom here, and these are on weekly time frames. Ethereum's in an interesting spot. Not really a double bottom, but falling kind of like how Bitcoin is right now. Kind of like this slow bleed. Typically, when you see these slow bleeds, it's not an indication that the market's going to sell off. It's more of an indication the market's trying to shake out before another move. Interesting move though, but here by ETH. Let's see if we can make something of this. I don't know if there's really a pattern here. Maybe there's a channel actually that I'm looking at. That's interesting. Let's get rid of all this. And I like to do this from time to time, and I would urge all of you to do something similar. And it's just kind of come through, clean up your chart every once in a while, kind of reevaluate your thoughts, right? And then it keeps you from creating biases in the market to what's actually going on. Let's move that there. Move that down there. Yeah, it's kind of like a channel. Arguably a bear flag, but could always break to the upside. I think when you're looking at this on the weekly, you're pretty bottomed on the stochastic. You can definitely drop, right? You got room on the RSI, but stochastic looks pretty bottomed. Now, stochastic could roll, right? So it means that basically, stochastic could be at a bottom, but maybe ETH isn't quite at a bottom yet. So your stochastic rolls the bottom while the RSI drops. Either way, interesting move here. Oh, you're talking about for ETH? I mean, it could be. It's a little bit. No, I wouldn't so quite say it's a falling wedge because it's not really. Oh, maybe. Let's see. It's not really shaping. I guess it kind of is. Yeah. Kind of is shaping like a wedge. This is what I was seeing with Bitcoin as Bitcoin was in a similar move like this, which is like a breakout swing, which makes sense kind of where we're at in the chart. Because if we look at this like a channel, right, we're kind of playing in the channel highs and lows, and what it is, it's something similar to like previous price action where you get above the zone, you get the big whip up. Now it could do something like this, which is what it did over here, if the market was rejecting price, right? So definitely something to watch out for there if it does do that. But if not, I would expect a swing long of the move and then maybe a breakout. But really, I don't think that we're going to see significant moves in markets for crypto until the halving happens. Now, I could be wrong on that. But I'm just a strong believer in the halving, and it's what I tend to put my biases toward outside of trading the market. And it's so far it's worked out for me. Like keeps me from getting FOMO'd in on the market. But we also had a similar move right there. And you can see this falling wedge led to a much bigger move here. And now we're kind of in a smaller falling wedge. So our upside is probably capped, probably a double top move up here, moving into like 22K. And then we'll probably get a swing short somewhere later. But the floor is rising on ETH. That's the interesting thing here. Floor is rising. Unless we see a catastrophic event or a black swan event, I don't know that we will break lows, right? I took log off to kind of show you guys kind of where we were at. I would have really liked to see ETH retest this liquidity like right in here. Just because you had that high peak right here before the breakout over here. Well, I guess it kind of did, didn't it? Yeah, it kind of did right there. So it did kind of retest it, didn't quite go into it. Because if it went into it, it'd be more like right in here. But a little bit above it, bounced it, hit it, ran back up, right? And now it's kind of running its way towards the next market. I find it interesting where we're at in price with Ethereum, even though volume's pretty much dead here, right? But we did have our peak volume over here, our peak volume sell-off. This means whenever you see these peak moves, that's probably a capitulation move, and those capitulation moves typically end in a scenario where the market doesn't tend to come back to that price. So it's very interesting in price here. And the funny part is the peak move happened at the high end of the range for the stochastic, right? Even though price continued to drop here. And that's where volume started really ramping off. We have no volume here. So because we had no volume, the likeliness of a break to the downside just doesn't seem like the play right now. So double bottom. Yeah, I think the double bottom will hold. I think if it doesn't hold, it's okay. It's a good DCA position. Let's say it doesn't hold, right? Okay, its next drop's going to be down here at 16 cents. I'll get cut in half on my position. I'll buy more. Do I think I shouldn't buy here? No, I think I should buy here. So again, it's just all about your perspective. Are you trying to shove the whole bag in one spot? I don't think that's the smartest move. If that's your position, then you're obviously waiting for the lowest low. And if you're waiting for the lowest low, I hope you guys can read charts at a very high skilled level and understand where lowest low is, and hope you catch it. That's kind of the conversation I've been having on Twitter with a lot of people. It's like, hey, you have to consider where we're at. You have to consider where price is. And it doesn't mean FOMO the market. I don't think at any point told you guys to buy something like Polygon that's sitting there smacking highs. I haven't told you guys to buy something like BNB that just refused to fall over and come back to reasonable price ranges. I'm trying to give you guys value when I talk about a lot of things. I look for bullish divs and I look for things that are way, getting wrecked, essentially, right? I'm not looking for things that are hyped. I'm not looking where everybody else is looking. I'm looking where everybody isn't looking. And that's always the best play, right? I mean, you guys saw the Zoom, like Kathy Wood sold 70,000 Tesla to buy 50,000 Zoom. Very interesting move by her. Definitely because she bought on top of me, which is good for me. So always look where everybody else is not looking. That's just what you have to pay attention to. You got sand here again, double bottom. I would take it. Look, at minimum, this is a consolidation range at minimum, right? Don't ignore consolidation ranges. Could you drop more from a consolidation range? 100% you can. Yeah, you definitely can. But you can also profit off consolidation ranges, right? You could trade the range if you wanted to. You could also buy positions and buy your way down if you're not a trader. Interesting from the chart. There we go. Yeah, so that is sand. We talked about Algo. It's a very similar thing. Look, I mean, does that look bad? I mean, anybody tell me, does that look bad? Does that look like a place not to buy Algo? Nobody?
Yeah, it's a spot.
I would think it's a spot. I would. Yeah, 100%. Why? Double bottom. Can't get any better than that when it comes to price, right? So again, just pay attention to what's going on. I think Mara, because I think Bitcoin is going to run. We're seeing a similar move here in miners. You got Mara building higher lows and looking to pressure the highs, and really the breakout range is right here, like $13. This is a stock, but it has good upside potential, because if it can get above there, you're looking at calls all the way up here to 31. That's what you're looking for. So that's a massive move for a stock, right? You're looking at over a 50% move. This is you would make so many multiples if you call this right to the top, right? As far as time wise, if you can get this within like a week on a call, you can make a lot of money off this move. That would be a big move up. I don't think there would be any resistance here. I don't think there would be much resistance here. I think once you got above this double topping pattern, you're gonna fly from there, right? You have a lot of good opportunity for upside at that point. So keep watching. Don't ignore value, right? This is one thing I keep trying to stress to people. Telos partner with GameStop. Do I think GameStop's the best company? No, I think they got a horrible business model. Do I think that they can work it out? Maybe get it to work? Yeah, sure. So, can't ignore that either. Partner with real world companies, regardless of whether or not they're doing well. So this one's a very interesting one too. I'm paying attention to. Talked about Ethereum. Getting into Bitcoin, right? What do you see? See a bull flag. That's what I see. I don't know what you guys see specifically, but like if you're gonna take this from bottom to top here, that's a bull flag, right? That's exactly what that is. That's a ranging pattern to the downside, looking for a breakout. And it's vice versa if it's going the other way, right? That's just how this works. So I know somebody mentioned a falling wedge, but I think it's more of a bull flag, especially on the weekly, right? Very indicative of a bull flag. We've come down, we've retested liquidity. Where did we retest liquidity? Let me get rid of this. Retested liquidity right here. Look. You guys see it? What do we do? Bounce back out of it. Now we might do this for a little bit to kind of trick people. But what happens if we do that? What would that tell you if we did that? It would tell me that we've broken out the bull flag due to time, right? And once you break out the bull flag, expectations are for the bull flag to move in the direction it's supposed to. And that's up. So they can hold it here. They can definitely hold it here. But again, I'm looking for 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. That's it. All right. You got your 3 impulses, your pullbacks, double pullback, which is your A into your C, and then you're up from there. That's all it is. That's your bullish case. Bearish case, always there, right? What is bearish case? Double bottom or lower lows. I don't need to explain it. I don't need to draw it out for you guys. You guys know what that looks like. All right. Again, lots of value, even though Bitcoin is where it's at, right? Even though Bitcoin's high and people are like, man, I miss Bitcoin. Look at all the altcoins that are at double bottoms and lower lows, right? You have opportunity to catch up very easily by grabbing some altcoins in place of Bitcoin. Now, does it mean go all in altcoins? Well, if you like Bitcoin, you can buy some Bitcoin. Just try to make sure you catch up through buying some altcoins. So this is Sandstorm Gold. Again, another what? What is this? What is this? It's a bull flag, right? Another bull flag. Pulling down, getting ready to rip. I think they'll come up, reach all-time high on the next move. This is your 3, pull back into your 4, pull up to your 5, and then this, ABC back down, probably to your 1. So interesting move here. Interesting move by Sandstorm Gold. Again, another indication. Typically, when gold moves, Bitcoin moves. So another indication. California Resource. This thing basically exploded, but again, I think this company could be 5 years from now, it could be 2 years from now, 1 year from now, it's going to come back for that gap. It's going to come back for that gap. I'm going to continue to watch this thing, monitor it. I'm going to have alarms right below this price, 21.88. So as it gets below there, I'm going to start shorting this thing, which means puts all the way back down to the bottom of the gap. This is going to be like the shorting opportunity of a lifetime. I don't care if it goes up all the way up and up and up and it forms new highs and all, it'll still come back for that gap. There's no way they're leaving that big of a gap behind on the monthly. Here's a similar stock that I use as an example. Did the same thing. Look, ran up, 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 up. And then what did it do? Came back and filled the gap. Same exact thing. That's what I'm looking for that company. I'm looking for CRC to get destroyed. Well, I mean, it all depends. Activity, are they building, yada, yada, yada. You know all this stuff, guys. Like we talk about it on a regular basis. You know what to look for with these opportunities and stuff like that. Here's a crazy looking one. Look at that. Nakamoto Games. I mentioned this before many, many, many times. And now we're sitting at all-time highs again, right? And when I say all-time highs, I mean the high end of the channel. Again, this is another bull flag, kind of dropping lower lows, dropping lower lows, dropping lower highs. Like this thing, yeah, I think it wants to go. Again, if you were to look at it from bodies, I would say higher lows, right? Higher lows and lower highs. So you're kind of pinching into a point. So this thing definitely wants to move, man. I don't know what's behind this token, but there's a lot of interest. A lot of interest on this token. Volume's pretty crazy. You're still low on the stochastic. You're above the 50 on the RSI. This thing, it wants to run, man. Like, look, it gave you every indication here with these slow moves, low volume, that you need to start taking positions. Again, slow moves, low volume, right? I'm showing you guys the same things. That's what I'm telling you to buy, right? Look, again, slow moves, low volume, double bottom, right? I can't repeat myself too many times, but you guys get the point. It's something to keep an eye on. Again, I brought this one up yesterday. Rad already up, right? Nobody wants to touch Rad. Nobody wants to talk about it. And then once it starts mooning, everybody's gonna be like, man, this is the best thing in the world. Everybody's gonna buy it. It's gonna change society as a whole. It's not gonna do any of that, right? It's gonna run with the bull market. You need to sell the coin, take your money, and then wait for the bottom. That's all this is. You're at a bottom, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, how many times does it have to test this liquidity zone before you're convinced, right? Not trying to tell you guys to buy this coin specifically. I'm just telling you, like, these are things that are happening right now in front of your eyes. And everybody's like, I'm gonna wait for lower. I'm gonna wait for lower, guys. Like, I can understand your argument with Bitcoin, right? I can understand that. But altcoins are not in the position Bitcoin's in right now. Altcoins are utterly obliterated. So you got to really pay attention to what's going on around you. HNT, what do we see? Oh, look at that. Lower low. What do we see on strength? Oh, look at that. Bullish div. Right? Bullish div on HNT. STMX. What do we see? How many double bottoms do I have to cover? How many double bottoms do I have to cover? Right? Where are you at on the RSI? What happened last time you were at this point on the RSI? Well, I believe STMX pretty much exploded, right? This is a high interest zone. That's 150%. If you're interested in this coin, I would say this is a fair value range. What else do we see here? I mean, you can't get better support than that, right? Look at all this consolidation here. You think it's really going to go deeper than that? Maybe if it goes to 0, but I highly doubt it's going to go deeper than that. Just saying, right? It tested liquidity. It went in there, pulled right back above it again. Jasmine. Interesting. This has been in a bull run the whole time. You're probably like, what do you mean this thing's destroyed? It is destroyed. You're 100% right. What I mean by a bull run all the time is that buyers, even though Jasmine was getting destroyed, continued to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and they're still getting stronger. At some point, this goes the other way. The trend is up. The RSI is telling you, hey, we want this coin. Don't care how low it goes. I will double down. I will triple down. I will quadruple down. I will, penta triple down, etc. Right? Like, these people are eating this coin up. The strength is ridiculous. With all this drop, the strength is ridiculous. I mean, Stochastic is pretty low, can go a little lower, sure. I mean, but at what point does value become value for you? And I feel like a lot of people, value doesn't become value until you're like up here and you're like, man, I gotta buy this thing. It's the best thing ever. Right? This is this thing I've always been looking for. But you could have bought here. And let's say it dips a little deeper. Who cares? In the bull market, you think it's not going to come back up? Do you think it's not going to come back up? Like I'm telling you guys right now, altcoins, don't fade them. Right? Bitcoin, you can fade. You can fade Bitcoin. You can get it cheaper. You can definitely get Bitcoin cheaper. Right? But altcoins are not a fade for me right now. Like I'm grabbing bags. So can there be more downside? 100%. 100% there could be more downside. It's all about risk to reward, right? Stock company I was paying attention to, FUV. I think these guys will do great. I got like 500 in this. I didn't put much. But if this thing turns around, man, oof, oof. You know, that's like a 700x in the stock market. So people are fading that. Let's see here. Cosmos. Another interesting one. Look, I know people wanted to retest lows. Like, yeah, there's a possibility that we're stochastic on the floor. Sure, the RSI can come down, but wouldn't it be smart to buy a little here? If it comes down a little more, buy a little more. Comes down a little more, buy a little more. Just saying, right? There's a lot of bottoms out there right now, guys. Like a lot of bottoms. And we're not even talking about Bitcoin. We know Bitcoin has room to run, and we know Bitcoin has room to come back. So you can get better opportunities. Cake, this thing's either going to zero, or you're in a good spot, right?
Bro, what's up with Pancake Swap? Are they like not being used as
They're not being used at all.
Did good on the last bull run.
It will, and it will do good on the next because all the shit coins in the world will go to Pancake Swap again because they're going to go to Binance, because they're going to go to BNB. So if you believe in BNB, you should believe on Pancake Swap, basically, right?
Didn't Uniswap also open on BNB?
I don't think they have a BNB, do they? I don't think they have a Binance chain. Uniswap is Ethereum.
I thought they did.
Hold on, let me check. Oh, hold on, maybe. Let me switch. I understand. Oh, they did. Okay. All right. They got they have a Binance network. I still don't think that'll kill Pancake Swap, but yeah, that's interesting. They have Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum. I keep talking to you guys about it continuously. Everybody keeps saying it's a scam, but come on. Everybody's implementing Arbitrum. The ecosystem is where it's at. There's a lot of things moving on there. Yeah, that could definitely be a bad thing. I don't know. There's some risk here, right? The biggest thing that I'm looking at is you had consolidation, you had holding, and then you got this big dump, but you had this massive capitulation, right? And into this capitulation, the volume is dropping, meaning the selling is going to subside at some point, and there's nowhere to go but directionally up, right? All the sellers will have sold, what they could, and anything left will more than likely just be dust. So it's all up to you at the end of the day. Risk to rewards 44x, to the high. If it doesn't do too well, then it's only gonna be a 9 or 10x. So, I don't, to me, it's all about your risk, right? And if this were sitting at like 20 cents, I'm like, that's a lot of X's. I'll throw some money at it. But because it's, potentially, it could get up here to 40. Yeah, that's questionable. We'll see. It's $1.40 right now though, so it's not extreme amount of upside. It's at 35x, and you guys are probably, man, 35x is great. What are you talking about? Yeah, I do agree. It's just there's a lot of risk for that 35x. Krill, we talked about this the other week, continuing to hold that bullish uptrend. Again, very similar to Jasmine. Very, very, very similar to Jasmine. Everybody keeps ignoring it. Look, strong uptrend, lots of dropping, and now we've double bottomed, right? Like, can you get a better price than this? Has there been a better price than this? And don't tell me the wicks. No, no, there hasn't. There the wick, sure. You could have grabbed a wick, right? But you would have had to been paying attention. Which most are not, right? Most are not. Most aren't even looking at things like this. These are really good plays. I like the bot system that they have set up and everything like that. We discussed it the other week. You got the volume drop, which looks amazing, right? And I think the volume pretty much is done. Like you can't get any lower than this. Like you're gonna round out. This is very much like ICP. Very much like ICP vibes.
President Joe Biden and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the nephew
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, just with Krill, whereabouts were you buying that from?
I mean, I'm gonna buy some after we're done because of where it's at.
Yeah, do you know whereabouts that's available?
Oh, where do you get it at?
Yeah,
I would just go on CoinMarketCap.
just have a bit of a look there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I typically don't worry about, you know, if it's on a specific exchange or anything. If I'm looking at it, it looks good, I'll buy it no matter where it's what it's on. I got some
Yeah.
some
I was
buddies
just
in
trying to take
BB.
a shortcut.
Oh, you're good, you're good. Yeah. I got some buddies in BB who won't touch. Oh, you can get it on KuCoin, by the way, Crow. And Coinbase. Oh, it's on both. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. The fact that Coinbase would let them on is really interesting. So yeah, I imagine that they come out and like, hey, we're partnering with Coinbase and we got these bots and they're going to use these bots to help you trade. That would be
Yeah, I was going to
interesting.
get my KuCoin running again. So yeah, that might be looking.
Yeah, this one looks pretty good. I like it. I like the setup. I like where price is. Again, I took a very similar risk with Zoom, guys. Like I'm taking risks across the board because the risk is there and it makes sense, right? You got double bottom, you're basically building strength. You're on the bottom of the stochastic in reality, right? Like you can go a little bit deeper, but like the stochastic saying, hey, we're not going to hang out here very long. You bounced, came back up, got rejected, and came back down again. Like how much deeper do you think price can go with the stochastic where it's at?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when there's a sustained run up or a bull run, everyone sort of wants trading bots in, don't they?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll see a lot of bot trading, and people will probably use things like Krill because they're safer, right?
Yeah.
Those are vetted bots. Like a lot of times when somebody gives you a bot, they'll usually have a
I know.
back door to it.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of people got robbed.
Yeah.
But because these guys are on Coinbase, that makes it even better. That makes it way better. And KuCoin. Yeah, interesting move there for that one. I would say, okay, BTC USDT again. We're at top end of the range on the daily. Like this looks really good. Like I think it just at some point we just pop, hit the high, probably pull back a little bit and break. And then once you break this range, like these people they're like, oh, it's gonna go up to like 30 and pull back. Like they're done, dude. Like it's gonna literally just rip, in my opinion. It's gonna be one of these. These are what we call impulse waves. Like you guys just gotta look up those words specifically. Impulse waves. It's very easy thing to understand. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's Elliott waves theory, impulse waves. This is an impulsive move into a pullback, into an impulsive move, into a pullback, into an impulsive move, right? That's your 5 swing. So that's expectations here. Moving into Dow. Look at the Dow. Looks pretty good, right? Falling wedge, or sorry, falling wedge. Bull flag pattern, right? Building to the downside, looking to break out. Interesting move here for the Dow, but if you look at it across the board, a lot of people are selling here, but I would argue that might not be the smartest move, right? Support, support, support. And then boom, right? You get the breakout. 1, 2, 3 times a tap, actually 4 technically. So 1, this is a deviation, right? 2, 3, 4. Now I'm looking for the breakout move. Now here's the issue. It could break out, go to all-time high, which is what it should do, but it could also triple top here. So you got to be careful once you get up there. But for now, it's upside. It's bidding up, right? So the Dow Jones looks really good. DGI looks even more interesting. So this is something I pointed out in BB, and I think it'll play. It's a really good looking play. You basically have this sideways price action channel that you're playing in. You did deviate low, right? Deviation low, but you also have a head and shoulders playing in that same thing. Now, this is an inverted head and shoulders. So inverted head and shoulders is bullish, right? Now we're kind of breaking out, hitting the high there. We'll probably pull back. And I bet you on Monday, boom, breaks out, right? When this thing goes, it's going back to all-time high, guys. Like, for sure. Like, I don't know how to better tell you. Like that, it's going all the way. There's no resistance up here. None. These are all wicks. It's gonna break through here, maybe pull back a little bit, fake people out, and run. Come over to NVIDIA. Wouldn't touch this with your money or your neighbor's money or my worst enemy's money. Why? It's already gone. You're speculating up here if you're buying. I don't buy speculation. So at the end of the day, this thing's done. Like your opportunity to get in NVIDIA, it's gone. You can get into it if you want to. I'm just telling you, probably not the smartest move. PLTR, I told you guys, gets above 15, it's done. Look, 15, 17, it's at the 50% mark, it's gone. Like Palantir is going to go all the way back to all-time high. It'll probably pop, and then just break. There's no resistance over here, guys. Like, look, the resistance is where you were fighting. It's where you were fighting. You're already through it. There's nothing here to stop it from going up now. Now, you could say, oh, what about support here? Sure, support might stop it, right? But it's not going to stop it. It's just going to slow it, which means it'll come up, hit support, pull back, and then break through it. Get above this position right here. Once it gets above the 0.25, it's just going to rip all the way to 37. Palantir is gone. It's gonna run. Great opportunity for calls. Moving into, well, we just talked about Marathon. So Marathon was running this way, right? And then it started running that way on the monthly. Now, if we looked at it as a whole on the weekly, what do we see right here? What do we see right here?
Bull div.
Bullish div, right? Bullish div. And now we've kind of bounced off that bullish div and we're playing to the upside. This thing looks super bullish. It's above the 50. Looks like it wants to run, right? And this is a minor. Yeah, it's curling up right here. Curling up right here. Like this is a pennant pattern getting ready to break out, right? That is a pattern to play for upside. I think this is gonna rip, break resistance, and just run, right? It'll hit that 32, pull back a little bit, probably use this as support right here. Once it breaks through, rather than using it as resistance, it'll break through, it'll pull up, pull back, support, and then break out to the all-time high. Interesting move here, because if this plays, man, this is going to be very indicative of, you know, kind of Bitcoin as a whole too, because I think this right here will be kind of your signal that Bitcoin is also going to play this move. And if we see here volumes dropping down, right? So interesting move on volume, but your RSI and stuff are showing strength. Everything's showing strength. Your stochastics already cooled down above the 50, and so is your look. Your RSI and stochastic are matching, right? A very interesting move. The question, the questionable part is like when your stochastic gets back to all-time high, does it double top M and come back down pretty hard? And I would argue yes, because you're going to also be at all-time high on RSI, indicating that you're going to get a cool down phase, right? You are going to get a cool down phase. But I do want you guys to also pay attention, even though we got bull disc and stuff playing, we have higher time frame resistances too. So you have to play those resistances to the upside. So it could break, but it could also break out and then come back down below and reject and fade back down lower and then break out again, right? That would just be a cool down phase at the higher ranges. And that would arguably be something similar to what Bitcoin will be doing, because Bitcoin will more than likely after the 5 or after that third wave, that third impulse wave, the 5, it's going to cool down through that ABC phase, which means
That's healthy, right?
Yeah, it's a healthy pullback. It's good for the market. That's what you want to see. So That's why I'm anticipating that. Rivian, interesting move. I put in some calls here. Rivian kind of pulled back on me on my calls. My calls were 1540. And they pulled back into the 1488. But you can see the build up here. Like this thing's gonna run. Like you got hires. Look at how much they had to sell here on volume to get this candle to here. Like this thing's being ate up, man. Like the sellers here are getting destroyed.
I
This
think
is a
it's
higher
teasing you,
volume.
Will.
What's up?
I think it's teasing you.
Oh yeah,
Rivian.
definitely. I got some end of month calls though. I think they'll play. I think I'll be fine. You can see right here, volume's rising. You got higher lows. You got consistent resistance in the same zone. It just keeps retesting. You can only retest so many times before it breaks, right? Same thing with downside. So this thing's gonna break out at some point, and this is gonna really freaking run. I took 1750 calls. So it's like up in here. But the reality is like they could come all the way up to the high end range of their 1775. And really, I wouldn't even say that they would even try and resist there for very long. They might even come all the way up to here by the month, which would be 20. So that's a big move. That's a 25% move for Rivian if that happens. And I arguably, if that happens, this will have been the bottom. Now, what are the indicators for this being the bottom for Rivian? Well, you look at it in higher time frames, weekly, right? And look at the RSI here. It's nuts. Or stochastic, I mean. And then look at the RSI here. Again, very similar move. I keep showing you guys this over and over and over again, right? That these moves where there's a lot of strong buyers, even on this drop, right? These are the ones you want to pay attention to. If you are seeing buy, Jasmine, right, was an example, and you're just dropping, there is a lot of interest in this in this asset. We would not be building strength like this if there was not. Yeah, no problem.
Could you look at CCL quickly, Will? It's did sort of the same thing, but it's running. I'm just wondering if it looks what your thoughts were.
Yeah, let me just run
Yeah,
this
yeah,
out
that's
real
right.
quick and
Yeah,
then
sorry.
no problem. If you can see here, it's kind of like a circling move, right? It's like a circling move. It's basically where price bottoms at a certain point, and it's looking to start breaking back out to the upside. Will there be pullbacks along the way? Sure, but this thing is going to run. I am fully confident this thing's going to run. Not only that, like you are just getting this massive volume spikes in this zone, right? This whole zone here. Look, there's been very little activity. Look at the volume here. It's insane. It's only been ramping up, pulled back, and now we got green candle volume, right? This means buyers are starting to push through sellers, man, because it's absolutely like mind-boggling that people are fading this and not paying attention to it. I think Rivian's in a full-on reversal position. So we'll see how that plays. You said what was the one you said? CCL?
Yes, please.
All right, give me a second. This one?
Can't see what that is.
Or is
It's,
it all Carnival?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have Carnival on here already. Yeah, I've been watching Carnival. Carnival's already freaking fully U-turned. Look at
Yeah,
this gap right here.
I got him just below 10.
Yeah, it's already broken out of the wedge, like the whole nine. Look at that.
You reckon
broke to
that's
the
gonna
upside.
do you reckon that's gonna turn around or
Nah, this is gonna rip. There's really no resistance here. Like you could say the bottom
That's
here could
close.
resist a little bit, but the reality is like I think they're gonna start pushing for highs. I would take highs as resistances now rather than lows.
yeah.
So like if that's the case, then you got some decent upside before that thing actually starts to try and find resistance. Now, what it'll probably do is it'll probably come up to like right here,
Yeah.
and then after it hits that, it'll come back down to retest the channel and then break.
Well, that would be nice.
That would be my expectations for that move. Yeah, it's a strong uptrend. You got strong uptrend here. It does need to cool down on RSI on the weekly. Same with stochastic, but it doesn't have to, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that a lot of people ignored this year, is they ignore that things don't have to stop. And if you look at monthly, look at where it's at on the monthly, it's just breaching the 50.
Yeah.
And you had a big bull diff here too. Look, a lot of people didn't see that either.
Yeah, I got him. I think I'm about 58% up now.
See that right there? That's a bull div. How's it a bull div? That's your drop in price. That's all you needed to know, right?
Yeah.
You take the bull div, you play the upside, boom, reversal, straight up, and look at this monthly. It's just insane because they're gonna recapture this entire drop. This entire capitulation. Look, I hit that perfectly without even looking at the monthly. This entire capitulation is gonna get recaptured by this move. Now it may take another month, right? Might take another month, but they're gonna recapture the entire move. All the way back up to the capitulation area.
Nice.
So that and look, it would be perfect right here if they just ran back a little bit, right? Get people scared that that's the top, find the support, and then break out. And you will have a little bit of resistance here, so you could see maybe some consolidation here, but I don't think it'll consolidate for long. I think it'll just kind of rip through, just like everything else has been doing. Interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, so like, unless you guys are in these plays, like, don't chase them. Do not chase these, right? Like, these are the wrong things to be chasing. Like, if you bought the bottoms, you're in a great position. Like Rivian, I think is near a bottom. Lucid is near a bottom. Like, once these have already moved, like, just leave them alone. Leave them alone. But yeah, I think this pullback is very indicative of a breakout. Go ahead. I didn't make a job.
I bought SoFi about 480. I took some profits right under $10, but I'm wondering, should I get back in if it can go a little bit higher?
I mean, I think it's already broken the range. So yeah, I think it'll definitely go higher. I think this will open probably Monday here. Right? What do you got here? I know you have 11 days. So you could play here for another week. But reality is they've already broken the range. How have they broken the range? Because you had your rejection point here, and now you've got a higher rejection point, right? What does that tell you? That tells you that they were able to push sellers higher. Right. So even though sellers pushed them back below the range, they were able to violate sellers at a higher percentage here. So now there's really no sellers here, right? All the sellers stopped selling to here. So now the sellers are higher. So the expectation is they'll open, they'll probably rip up, maybe eat out more sellers, rip up, eat out more sellers, and then eventually break the range and push up. This is a capitulation. What I would aim for is that entire capitulation to be captured if this is a good company, right? And that's what a lot of these stocks and stuff did. They recaptured the entire capitulation. Like Carnival, for instance, it will be a slow run after it breaches the capitulation, for instance. So if we're going to go back to Carnival and we're going to look at it, this is your capitulation right here. So they will recapture that, and then it's going to be a slow run up, right? Maybe a consolidation right here. And then you might recapture this capitulation, which means that even though you consolidate here, you're going to run as soon as you get through that zone, right? To pick up this liquidity right here. Because that's all that's left over here. And then you're going to basically maybe consolidate here. And then you're going to run again because you're going to be in heavy speculation, right? You're speculating now price. And I think anytime you get in these speculation zones, if you guys are playing these to the full on speculation, I would say cut a lot of your positions at all-time highs or as it breaks out. And I'm not trying to financially advise you guys. I'm just telling you guys what I would do. I would cut a lot of my positions at all-time highs or a little bit higher, and I would basically reallocate to other things that haven't ran to all-time high. That makes sense, right? You got to have your eyes already on something. You don't want to just sit on cash, which means that like you got to be eyeballing something ready to pick up as you're getting ready to breach these all-time highs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
It's just so you can continue to chase liquidity in a way that makes sense, so you can continue to build in a really good way. Growth stocks have gotten abused, and I think everybody's trying to chase dividends, which is stupid in my opinion, but okay. Now, do I think there's money in dividends? Sure, sure. If you have a lot of money, if you're looking to grow your positions, it's going to be growth stocks if you're looking at the stock market. So, hence why they're called growth stocks, right? They have the highest potential for growth. So that's where I'm looking at a lot of positions in right now. I'm looking at growth because I want to.
Carnival stopped its dividends, but then if anyone's going on a cruise it offered, I think it's about 25% cash on board of your position.
Well, they stopped their dividends because they got destroyed.
couldn't-
They had no
Yeah,
dividends.
they couldn't afford to pay it. But yeah,
Yeah.
now they give some really good onboard credit if like you were going on a cruise. So I'm wondering if
So-
that'll help to push it.
It might be worth holding on to then in that case, because you could probably get dividends with a massive position in them. So always something to pay attention to. But yeah, interesting stocks. Let's look over here at Rumble. Let's see, pulling back. Interesting move. Interesting move. Probably come back to that support right there. I would argue Rumble is in the position to break out. Yes. I know it looks crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but like you are just building. Look at this foundation here. Right? You are building a solid foundation of liquidity. Either this is going to zero or this is going to be the bottom of this stock. This is a new stock too. It doesn't have a lot of liquidity in it. So, this could be the buying opportunity of a lifetime when it comes to stocks. I always look for stocks that find interesting floors. To me, this is very interesting, right? Like, look at how solid this up and down price range is. You can just trade this so easily. At some point, the bid gets above this and you're going to recapture these highs. And I highly doubt you will come back down to see these lows if that happens. Right? So just keep that in mind when you're looking at stocks. Hex over here. Still obliterated. Was forming these higher low, man, it was doing really well. And then, all of a sudden it just capitulated below its strength range. This is where you got to be cautious, because once you break that strength range, do you really have strength? I would argue no. I would argue that your directionality is full on down, and vice versa if you're moving up, right? You are just going to continue to bleed. In my perspective, I think as far as the RSI looks, like you are going to continue to bleed. Now, what would make me change that opinion a little bit? Volume. Volume would definitely make me change that. And you're probably like, what do you mean volume? Well, look. Drop. And we're at a peak. What do you think comes next? This is your capitulation. So arguably, they could reverse from here. So the question is, what do you do? Right? You're conflicted position. You're like, hey, I want some of this. I don't know if it's bottomed yet. But by volume, it looks good for a bottom. By directionality of strength breaking, it looks bad for the stock or asset. So what I would do in this case is I would take a bite here. I would DCA. Right? And if price goes lower, I have more fuel. I can get into it at a better price. Right? If price goes higher, I already have skin in the game. I can look for something else to put my allocation into. I don't need to chase. That's what you guys have to be at. Look, you have to understand when you are sitting in these positions, these low end positions, you have to be like, all right, if I want some of this, I'm going to get some. And if price goes up, you don't buy up. You only buy down. This is how a lot of people, they get wrecked in these markets, because they buy here and they think they're guru and they're like, oh, I got the bottom. And then what happens? Price goes up, right? And they're up here. They're like, oh, I didn't put in enough size. I need to add more here. No, that is the wrong position to be taking. If price goes up to here, I can't add anymore. Done. Now, let's say price consolidates. Up to here, comes back down. What can you do there? Well, if you can see support, you can buy again. You need to always have that rule in your head. don't buy breakouts. Even if you think it could continue, don't buy them. If price consolidates and comes back to your price range, hey, great, buy it. You're not buying up though, you're buying down. That's how this is played. All right, so buy down. You have a lot of down right now, a lot of down. Zoom. Kathy Woods bought my call on this, which is great. I like it. She OTC'd, so I don't think it's reflected on the chart yet. Those will probably come through Monday, maybe Tuesday, and we'll probably get a big pop, right? I'm expecting retesting the top end of the range. What's the top end of the range? Right in here. That's your top end of the range. She's going to be the breakout position here. She's causing the breakout, in my opinion. So I expect this will show later because it's OTC. Doesn't show immediately. It's not even in the chart more than likely. And we can see here, volume was what? Well, this was very similar to a Bitcoin run up, wasn't it? Doesn't this look like Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Crazy, right? Crazy. Boom.
Well played. Will.
Boom.
Well played.
Thanks. Insane move. And I was just like, man, I was like, this is so indicative of a bottom. I can't even like put my finger on it. And I sized in really well in here. And really, I think this is going to be the reversal move. And we've had these discussions in the past for those of you who've been here. You can't say we haven't, because I had people like, hey, well, COVID's over. Why would you buy Zoom? And I'm like, and I had to show you guys how Google's going to be implementing them. All these other tech companies are going to be implementing them in one way or another. And the funny part is Google has its own software, but they're going to use them. Think about that. Google has Teams, a competitor to Zoom, but they're going to use Zoom in some implications, right? So what that tells me is that Zoom has something that Google doesn't have. Do I know what that is? Not necessarily, but why else would they use them?
It's simplified compared to Teams, and people are comfortable with it.
Yeah. And it's the least likely to lag out. It's the least likely to have issues. Like Zoom just doesn't work like that. Zoom works great. So again, I think reversal move from here. People are going to be seething up here. They're going to be like, oh, I need to buy Zoom. Zoom's a great value at $300. No, it's not. Zoom's a great value here. That's where Zoom's a great value. You get up here to $300 and you're buying. I mean, thank you. That's all I could say, right? Like, I don't know what else to say with that. Arguably, Roblox. I'm telling you, look, once Roblox leaves this range, it's going to come all the way back to this range. And guess what that means? That means you don't see Roblox here anymore. And some maybe be like, why would anybody buy Roblox? Billions of players. Some of the biggest streamers on YouTube, Twitch, and everything else are Roblox players. There is a lot of money in this company, a lot. And Metaverse and all these other things, that's Roblox. Roblox is the most seamless, we'll say from scene to scene play that you can play in the game. They literally have that cross play between different realms. You could jump from one realm one day to another realm the next day to another realm, not even next day, next minute, next couple minutes, and you can flip realms day and night. I'm telling you, this company, they are making moves. So keep an eye on them. Google. Yeah, a lot of people play it. I think this is a fake out. I think Google's like looking for a pullback here. I think Google's bid on, I don't know, or not bid, it isn't Google, never mind, I'm talking about Apple. But Google's at an interesting point, but I think there's a lot of room to run here. I think Google's going to run back for all-time high just later on. So again, if you want to get into it, great. If not, then, you know, I'm not really interested in Google myself. Alta, interesting move, mid-range, right? Mid-range, pulling back up, could come back up for all-time high. Last time it did this, ran back up, hit the all-time high, and then rejected down and came back down for the lows. So we'll have to see here. Alto's playing a very Tesla-esque type move here, because this is what Tesla did when it was at its lows, when Tesla was trying to break out and become a bigger company, right? And I think Alta may be on the brink of that breakout. So even though this is a bear flag, I think Tesla breaks to the upside when it does. And I think when Tesla gets above this resistance, it is a buy. And you're probably like, what? Like, why would you not buy in here? Because I need to see the breakout first. And if I see the breakout to the upside, that means Tesla has a lot of growing, right? Or not Tesla, sorry, Alta. It doesn't mean that Alta is going to be worth $60,000 a stock, but it does mean that Alta is going to go in a multi-year bull run, in my opinion, if it does break out to the upside. And that's what tends to happen once these things get this bear flag breakout to the upside. So very interesting move. And this is a multi-year bear flag that's been playing, right? Multi-year bear flag. And why would I not buy in here? Just simply due to risk, right? I think there's a lot of inherent risk, because if this bear flag plays, we come all the way back down to here. And I take a big hit. We're already here. Like, I'm not buying much higher. It's like $500-$600, right? And they're bound to be doing stock splits. The other interesting take here is look at the volume on Alta. This has been insane. It's never really had a bear market, right? The volume's always massive. It's always up, and it just continues to build. Now, we did drop a little bit in here, but I think that's getting ready to do what all these previous ones did. Once they hit a high, they drop down, right? Drop down, and we hit a high, and then we drop down, and then we drop down in volume, right? And then we hit a high again. And that's your big move up for Alta. So this could be the capitulation here, but Alta, I think, has a lot of upside. Elf, another one I wouldn't touch with anybody's money, just because it's the most ridiculous looking chart I've ever seen. And I don't know why. Maybe the market cap's really low. I don't know what it is with this stock, but up only, right? This is your 2022. Look, 2022. Your bear market only lasted until April, right? And then you just up only from there. While everything else was getting destroyed, Alpha was just up only. And nobody looked at it, nobody talked about it. Nobody's still talking about it. Pretty crazy. SPY. This is something I brought up before. SPY tends to come back and revisit these lows multiple times, right? Same thing over here. Same thing over here. And now we are currently revisiting here, right? And my expectation is SPY will break out. It might do a higher high, it might do a double top, but SPY is going to come back. And then SPY is going to break out again. Just like it historically has always done, right? So what does this tell me? Well, it tells me that we may see an extended bull market. And I can almost bet you that our bear market with crypto lines up with the downfall of the entire stock market again, a second time, a couple years later. Now, what would cause that? Well, what would cause that is the uninversion of the yield curve. What causes the uninversion of the yield curve? Well, it's the Fed loosening or lowering rates. Why does the Fed lower rates? Well, typically the Fed will lower rates in two scenarios. One is inflation is done. They feel like their job is done. They have it over tightened and so on and so forth. And we are at expected rates of 2%. Two is something breaks in the economy and the Fed starts lowering rates to try and catch the falling knife. And the market starts to sell off and continues to sell off and sell off and sell off and sell off until we form a lower low, like we historically always have done. Now, I did have a space with somebody the other day. I think it was Parag space, and there was somebody who was like, well, this was COVID. So this is a lower low there. It doesn't, it's not the same thing. I was like, it is though. Like whether it's COVID, whether it's, 9/11, whether it's, some kind of, some other scenario. Like these things are always built into the charts. They are always, always, always built into the charts. And I know it sounds crazy. You can tinfoil hat me, you can make fun of me about it or whatever, but like I've showed you numerous times where this has just continued to be the play, right? Look at that. That's 1964 all the way into 1975. Like this is not something historically new for the stock market. It's just something that plays, right? So history repeats over and over and over and over. And hey, maybe it's small here. Maybe it comes back down and revisits sooner. It revisits later, but it's going to revisit, and you're going to get good pricing again. Just be expecting it. That's basically it. Don't be the one getting into the hyper freaking super cycle BS talk and all that stuff. Like, understand where you are on the charts, understand the yield curve inversion, and play it when it comes. Nat gas, interesting position. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, that breakout. Now I might still continue to consolidate, but this is more like a broadening wedge for me. So kind of a, and I'm looking for a big breakout for nat gas. So very interesting price range, but looking for that. This is like I'm way ahead of the move here, but this is what I think is going to happen here with NYSE, CTRA. So we'll see how it plays, but interesting move here. So Novos Energy. So this is kind of like a falling wedge, double bottom. Interesting move for this one. This is another energy play. I think it's consolidation range into a breakout. So we'll see how it plays. We've already gotten above all substantial levels. We're basically just looking to break all-time high. We basically had the upper trend being used as support. And so I think that there's good scenario. We break out really hard, come back, retest the trend, and then break out big for this one. But this is going to be much later dated, as you can see right here. Oxy, interesting move in the chart again. Again, we had what? We had a visit of the same lows, and everybody ignored it. So we'll see how this one plays out. But this is where Occidentals are. Again, another energy play up at the high range in a pennant, potentially looking for a breakout from the pennant. If they can get above this range, they're going to pull back, probably hit this high right here, pull back, and this is going to freaking move from there. So it's been suppressed for a long time, as you can see by price action. Dow Jones, we already talked about that. Euro dollar, very interesting position here for the euro dollar. I think it looks very bearish. It's fun. US oil, again, I think it's more of a rounding pattern here. I think US oil ramps back up in the next year or two, causing inflation to come back, causing more issues in the future. Part of the yield curve inversion situation. I think a lot of things play together here.
That looks bullish.
It does. It looks very bullish. It's very rounded. I think it wants to run. Right. And
What's your ticker on that?
So this is crude. So it's
Yeah,
US oil or CFDs on WTI crude oil.
CFTs.
But this one looks very, very bullish, guys. Like we can consolidate here for some time, right? But if oil starts moving with stocks, you're in for a world of hurt that's coming, right? Because that means inflation's coming back. That's what that would mean. You start moving 150 a barrel. Let me show you what happened last time we hit 150 a barrel. See this right here? What date is that? What year is that?
08.
2008, guys. Look at that. 150 a barrel, 2008. What happened after you hit 150 a barrel? You went to 33, 32, right? So this is basically, we were to change this to like 3. And we're gonna move this over to here. That's June of 08, right? Let's look at SPY in June of 08. So SPY. So we were at what, May? Here we go. There's June of 08. Where were we at in June of 08 on SPY?
Near the high, they washed it out a bit more, didn't they?
They lost it out a little bit more. But this was your 08, or sorry. Am I in 08? Yeah, here we go. That's
Oh,
June
there
of
we
08.
go.
There you go.
Yeah,
My
bang.
bad. This is June of 08. Where were we at June of 08? We were near the peak, right? Near the peak of the market. 150 a barrel. It then continued to drop over here and consolidate right around. Actually, we'll take it right to here. December of 08. That was your bottom of your oil market, right? So we'll say December 08 was your bottom of your oil market. And let's see where December of 08 was here. That's December of 08 there. Were we at the bottom of the stock market in December of 08? No, we continued to fall. Months later, we bottomed in 09. Right? We bottomed in March of 09. So don't think for a second that if we hit 150 a barrel, that everything's okay. Because it's not. That's the highest point we've ever reached on oil. Now imagine if we get higher on oil. And you guys are probably like, how does oil affect anything? Oil is used for everything. Travel, transportation, warming houses, everything. Right? If your shipping costs goes up, it's because of oil. That is why. If your shipping cost goes up, what happens to your product cost? Your product cost goes up. If your product cost goes up, what happens to your consumers' wages? They have to go up, right? And if they don't match and you don't raise wages, guess what? You got inflation. And now you're probably like, well, then we could just raise wages. Well, no, because then you get into a point to where oil reaches a peak, then wages reach a peak. Then oil reaches a peak, then wages reach a peak. And what do we get? We get a spiral, right? You get a spiral of wages to inflation. And then it starts to rapidly move faster and faster and faster and faster, and inflation and wages get out of control and eventually crash and burn. So you always want to get ahead of those moves, at least from the Fed's perspective. So in this scenario, if oil runs back up, you're going to get wrecked, right? You don't want to see that. So you got to be careful. Once you see that, I'm just giving you guys a heads up way ahead of time of when I think this, because I think it's going to occur way out on the curve in a 2025, 2026. That's really where I think that the C wave plays out. But I've been on point with this move. Look, I've had my support here for a long time. Haven't moved it for years now. Still holding the zone, still rounding back out on oil, and I think it's going to run up. It's got a really good rounding pattern here. Stochastic has basically refused to come any lower, right? It wants to run back up. You got good support here on RSI. RSI is pretty much low, right? You get back above the 50, you're going bullish again. Oil's going to run again, which means inflation is going to run again. So you got to be careful. Moving into file. What do we see here? What is this? What is this? Looks like a double bottom, right? Not only is a double bottom, what do we have here? bullish div with a double bottom. This is a buy zone for me, right? Again, just paying attention to that, plus volume, plus stochastic, which is basically bottomed. Like, where do you expect this to go? Where do you expect this to go? Up or down? I would say up. Shopify, already consolidated, already pulled back, hit its top end range, tapped off it. I think it's gonna run here. Might see 1, 2, 3, maybe a couple days played here and then upside. Tesla's gonna swing. It's gonna swing. It's got the momentum. It's got the build long here. It also has the gap that it's already filling here. It already filled the entire gap. And if it flips this gap, it's gonna come up, retest here, come back, use the gap as support, and then break out all-time highs. Again, we talked about capitulation, right? Where was the capitulation area for Tesla? Well, it was here at 313. That's where it was at. Right here, straight puked all the way down. This is where your gap came in. This is where liquidity stepped in. Liquidity has already pushed through that. They're going to come back up, retest highs, right? I've showed you so many charts with the same setup. So many charts with the same setup. They're going to break above. This is exactly what SPY did. And it's going to come up. It's going to hit the zone, probably pull back, and then break out to all-time highs. But this is your capitulation. Basically, all capitulations are doing what? They're being recaptured. All of them are, right? So you're looking for new assets that have not had their capitulations recaptured yet, if you want to get into the market. ARK, another one, right? Another one. Look, I pointed it out many times. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many times do we have to retest for you to believe it? That's all I'm saying. And now we're basically 1, 2, setting that resistance. It's gonna break out. And when it does, you're coming all the way up to here. 83.87. You had the bullish wet or bullish channel, like so many flags here telling you buy. You had the reversal move from here to here, bullish div, look, bullish div on the reverse, right? And since that bullish div, what have you done? Up only. How many bullish divs have I showed you guys that haven't played yet? Multiple. So if you're not playing them, I don't know what to tell you, right? Liquidity here in crypto is pulled into this lower zone. I think they pull back out and hit this high. Look at the high right there. High swing right here. Pushing Bitcoin into 30s. Again, good reason to be playing alts. Altcoin still bleeding, but what do we see right here? What do we see between these two? Anybody? What is this? It's a double bottom, right? That is a double bottom on altcoins. You're also retesting the bottom of the RSI over and over and over again.
Volume seems to have died on us, probably just beginning this week.
Yep, volume completely fell off a cliff. SEC came in and wrecked everything. So, I mean, what more do you want? If the SEC can't come in and drop the market, how low do you think it's going to go? They tried. They got prices back to the lows. That's basically all they could get out of it. DXY continuing to consolidate here. Lower highs, strong bottom. Again, another one I think that's looking to round back out to the upside, but later, right? Later. Now this could always break down and that could always be wrong too. So we'll see how this plays out, but that's a strong consolidation range. RSI looks pretty bottomed. Stochastic looks, stochastic looks pretty bottomed. RSI looks pretty bullish. Why does RSI look bullish? We're above the 50 on the monthly. That is really strong for dollar. Really, really strong for dollar. It makes me question the move really altogether. And, you know, whether we can see another capitulation of it. But we'll see how this plays out. Dollar looks really strong though. Qs, Q's hit my target on the nose. Look at that, 372. Exactly the target I was going for right here. See what I mean when I tell you guys capitulation? They played this capitulation all the way to the high. Look at that. Oh man, I keep getting some kind of lag. Sorry. We'll come back to it. Russell. Russell looks really good above the golden pocket here. Again, in a wedge formation, I think it's going to break out. I think it's going to break out here. So we're pushing the highs here. 1871. We'll probably push higher. We talked about Rumble. NASDAQ, 1 week. TLT. I think TLT is in the consolidation range. Good scenario that we end up forming a lower low here. If we form a lower low, I'd be looking for a bullish div. If that happens, you know, I'd say the market is pretty toast. So watch for that. We got a long ways down before that could play, but that will take some time, I think, to play out. I don't think it's going to be a big capitulation event, but I do think TLT gets wrecked, which is basically bonds. HYG still kind of playing the high end range here. I think it wants to pop. I think it wants to pop. It wants to retest. Got the higher lows into the lower highs. Got the wedge pattern playing out right here. You got the bull dip played over here. So lots of things in favor of HYG up. So I would say we're consolidating to it. We're going to hit a range, then we're going to hit a range, and then nobody's going to believe it. And they're going to be expecting down, and then it's going to break out. And it's, you know, it's nothing but air up here. Oh, moving into yield curve. This is your yield curve, guys. Like, this is your yield curve. Still down extremely. You continue to consolidate here. I think the Fed probably holds rates for like another 6 months to 9 months, and there's good potential, you know, that we have a lot of running till then. This is the Carvana chart that I had. Great stop out right here. We're kind of at the top end of the range here on the higher range. We got lower in volume. Kind of like a bear dip playing right here. So it's a very interesting position in the chart. Or actually, sorry, not bear dip, but just volume dropping. Price and volume are following, right? But we're kind of at the high end of the range. Stochastic looks to be at the high. Volume looks like it's dropping. Could see a pullback here before a breakout, but this one looks really strong too. Really, really strong. Monthly. I mean, if this thing's going to recapture its capitulation, and this is probably why it's rejecting, because there was a little bit of consolidation here. But if this thing recaptures its capitulation, like, you were coming all the way back to all time, it's like 350, right? Imagine buying this at $3 and getting 350. Insane. You would have a massive position in the stock. So definitely interesting times for sure. We're back above any type of super bearishness. You're probably like, what do you mean? Well, the minute you dropped below here, you were super bearish. The minute you got back above there, you should have been bullish. That's back above support. This is basically essentially a deviation low until it's not, right? And for now, I would argue it is. So that should have been played to the upside the second you broke above. AMD, interesting pullback. I think there's a consolidation range playing out up here on the higher end range, but I think it wants to run. I think basically when AMD actually breaks out, it's going to break out hard the upside. I don't think we break this support here. I think we just continue to consolidate here for a little while and then break out hard. So if you're looking to get an AMD, I think this is your optimal price range. Still room to run on that one. Desktop metals, again, very similar to Mara or Mara. So we got the building position where it's basically just building long to break out, right? And then you got your gap position here, probably break to all time there. TP for me is here. And then there's good potential this thing could even continue to run at least to here, right? So pay attention to that one. $5 out of 2. And then if this thing really wants to recapture the capitulation, look at that capitulation. Look at that capitulation. Where are you at? arguably the bottom end of the range. You're probably like, man, that stochastic looks crazy. Why would you buy here? Look at your RSI. Look at your RSI. Yes, stochastic looks insane, but your RSI is telling you, hey, you're on a floor. You're literally on the floor. Volume is fell off a cliff. Nobody's interested in it anymore. And somebody's buying this thing up. Somebody is buying this thing up. So keep your eyes on it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you guys. I hope that kind of helps you guys understand where things are going and where the market is. I know I did a lot of up only because that is where the market is. You know, I try my best not to be biased on my perspective of macro to what the chart is actually telling me. The chart is telling me up, it's telling me up, so I got to play upside. You know, I think macro comes into play later. And I think now is the time for crypto to be dialing into altcoins if you guys want bottom prices. There are tons of bottom prices out there. And if you ignore it later and tell me, hey, Will, you told me prices were going to go lower. Prices did go lower on altcoins. Right? They did go lower and they are still lower. So like if you I'm gonna keep this video right here specifically tagged for when people come to me and tell me that. Yes, may have been off on Bitcoin 100%. I will admit that. I'm never one to try and act like I'm too good, right? Like I don't make mistakes. I may have been off on Bitcoin, but altcoins made a lower low. 100% they did. Look, 20 cents on ADA, guys. And I'm telling you, like people are like, hey, I'm gonna wait for 15. Okay, 15 might come. But what happens if it doesn't? Did you put any in here? Probably not. Right? Because you're waiting for a specific price. Understand where the chart is. Understand that, hey, if my target's 15 cents, I should start DCAing at a certain point in the chart. Maybe that's 25. Maybe it's 30, right? Maybe you started DCAing at 30. There's nothing wrong with that. You're buying down, right? That's how you should be buying. If you buy here and it drops tomorrow and you get more opportunity to get in again, you just don't put all your money in here. Like just buy in a position. If it comes back and retest that position, buy it again. Like me, I bought in here. I bought ADA right in here. And arguably I bought again over here. Why? It came back and retested my position. And if it goes up and comes back again, I'll buy again. And if it breaks the range, I'll buy here. And you're probably like, well, I don't have infinite money. Break your money up. Break it up. That's all you got to do. Like if you got $100, break it up into 5 orders. Just don't be buying every hour. Don't be buying every 4 hours. Don't be buying every day. What is my times here? It's weekly, right? That means price got to here at a certain point on the weekly. I bought because, you know, price is ranging kind of the low here. I mean, if you guys want to know why I bought here, because it made sense. Look, support, breakout, breakdown, hit, reverse. It made sense, right? Came back. What did we do on ADA? We ran up, hit resistance, rejected, came back, retested, and we actually retested lower. And then where did we pull up to? Well, if you look at the chart, we're above the support. So should you be bearish here and looking for lower prices, or should you have a DCA set in? I would say you should have a DCA set in. But each one of you do whatever it is you want to do. I'm just telling you, like if we come back and revisit this in the bull run, you're like, hey, you screwed me. You told me all these things and they never came true. We got a lower low on alts and we could get another lower low. This is where you buy down, right? It's not where you looking for a spot to put your whole bag in one spot. If anybody could do that, even the richest of people, they would be infinitely rich. Nobody knows. Look, retail could reverse a market. Market makers could reverse a market. A group of whales could reverse a market. Nobody really truly knows what the bottom is, right? You just have to be able to identify bottoming patterns. Those are two totally different conversations. So when you see a bottoming pattern, if price bounces up and goes deeper, great, I can get in with more. Why can I get in with more? Not because I'm infinitely rich, because I didn't put everything in up here. And if price starts going nuclear to the upside, I don't buy ADA anymore. What do? I start looking for value elsewhere, right? I start looking for value in the chart elsewhere. I don't go back to ADA chasing it. I just start looking for somewhere else to allocate money to. I hope that this all makes sense for you guys. I really do. I'm doing my best to elaborate what I can without actually giving you financial advice.
It makes
Yeah, exactly, Norm. Slowly. DCA your way in. Again, not every hour, not every 4 hours, not every day. Just come back to the chart and look for value. That's all it is. That's both in the stock market and crypto. Again, I've identified many different stocks. Same thing, right? They're all on bottoming patterns, near lows. Like this is a consolidation range in reality, even with a falling wedge. You've basically gotten out of it. You're sitting at the high end of the range. I think you're getting ready to break out. So again, another bottoming pattern identification. I don't know if did I have Lucid up or did I top up? I didn't get Lucid. Yeah, it's patience and understanding you don't have to deploy everything in one position, right? Like that's where so many people get confused. They get confused with thinking they have to deploy all their cash at one spot and like this is the bottom. It's just a wrong take to take in the market. Let's see. I thought I had it on this one. Maybe not. Yep, right there. Again, what do we see here? I'm super scared to buy here, guys. Super scared. Double bottom. Strong RSI uptrend. Super scared. Not to mention falling wedge. Right? There's just lots of indications to be taking positions in the market, regardless of what people are saying or doing right now. And even if the market gets worse later on, 2-3 years from now is the anticipation, maybe 2, 1, we'll see in there 2025, 2026. Even if the market gets worse in those scenarios on a bigger scale, if Lucid were to do this and I were to just hold it and then it were to do this, would I really be upset? No, because I'm not the guy who bought here. I'm the guy who bought here. That's the biggest takeaway I can give you guys, right? Like that's really the biggest takeaway I can give you guys. You don't want to be this guy or girl. You want to be this guy or girl. That's where you want to be in the chart, price wise. All right. Any last minute questions?
What do you think about the post X and post chain on that one? I stay away from it since last time we talked about it because it's not looking that great.
Yeah, I think it'll probably shape up later. I think it's just going through those phases. A lot of FUD, a lot of stuff where people are just like wrecking it. Or I thought I had Pulse X up here with PULS, right? Maybe I didn't save it. Hold on. Is it PULS? I think.
It's a PLS. And
PLS.
PLS.
PLS. There we go. Let's go crypto. Oh, they're on OKX. Interesting. OKX, I think, is going to be a freaking awesome exchange, by the way. I mean, that looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I like how it kind of floated back up here. Let's see. Ooh, stochastic is bad. I mean, RSI is so floored, man. Like, oof. Yeah, this is See if we can get a better pattern going here. It's just so young, you know? Yeah. I would argue they've gotten above the 50. They're pulling back to the 50. This could be support. Right, where they're sitting right there. And let's see. Yeah, that looks really good for support there. If they can hold that, then this will be the bottom, right? This will be the deviation low and this will be the bottom. But they need to hold this. They can't break through it. I would probably, I mean, if you were looking to get into it, I just set stops below here. Because I highly doubt if they hit this price that they're not going to run down again. Right. So that would be kind of my take on that. I just didn't, the reason I avoided it personally, and I could be completely off sides on this, because I have seen other coins run that have had a similar situation, but it's just the wallet holders were too big, man. Like they've got some serious whales in that coin. Like they don't have enough liquidity to whales. I'll put it that way. So like if somebody really wanted to dump the token, they could just destroy this token. And it looks like it's been in a solid downtrend. It does look like I hear like it may be looking to reverse, but you know, similar situation happened here and it just ran again, right? And it could just continue to run down. It all depends on how the market shapes up, right? If the market shapes up good, then awesome. The problem I'm having also here is like you haven't really got a bull div. Or I guess you do here. Right? You got a little bit of a bull div there. So you do have a bull div here, which I think is arguably already played. But does it mean full on market reversal for this coin? That's the hard part here. I don't think there's enough argument / data here to really prove that just because I'm on the 4 hour to get this much data. So stochastic looks pretty floored on the 4 hour. Daily time frame, it's a nice bounce, arguably. This could pump back up again and again and again. You know how these, you know how hex moves, like similar moves, kind of comes down, hit these bottoms. It looks like it was wanting to roll over and then it turned green again. So it's a hard one, man. It's a hard one.
Looks like they might be fishing.
Yeah, it could be because like a similar move here, and then everybody's like, yeah, and they thought they were gonna go higher, and then they drop lower. And
They're
I kind
floating.
of similar situation here where they could just, you know, take a nosedive back down to low lows.
I sacrificed for that one, you know, so I'm just still holding them. The only thing that bugs me is like when there's the website PLS Burn that kind of give you the statistics, it is estimated that the origin address has about 120 trillion of the 135 trillion of the supply, which might get us Richard Hart.
Yeah, that, well, I mean, Richard Hart for sure has a big bag, but like the whales outside of Richard Hart are big too, man. They are big. Like I would argue, like no matter you could have sacrificed $10,000, $20,000, and you still wouldn't have much of a position in this coin. In comparison, like some of these guys like went in like $1 million, right? 100,000, 200,000. Like these are real whales in this coin. Like it's a difficult one, man. Very difficult one.
Or the pledge, $1 million.
Yeah, it's pretty insane that people would go that far into this coin, but we'll see. It's been a lot of bleeding. I would say that. I'd like to give it more time, to be honest with you, even if I missed the bottom on this, to try and see where it goes. A little more price history. Alrighty, any other questions?
Just a quick one, Will. What's your take on the current list of tokens that are under investigation as securities? Do you think
I've been
that's
buying them.
Yeah. Do you think that's a bullish case? You think it's pretty bullish
Yeah,
for him, to be
yeah, I
honest?
do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of you may be like, why? And it's like,
No.
that is because, you know, so the SEC can come out and they can say, hey, you're a security, but then the SEC has to go to court and prove your security, right?
Yeah.
They can't just label you a security and that's what it is. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They think that the SEC can label things as security and they're just a security. No, that's not at all how it works. So it's interesting conversation. I consistently hear people all the time talking about it, and it's like, man, like that's not what's going on here with the SEC.
It's got me bullish. I was just wondering if I was crazy or not.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, man. Like all the way. I mean, I don't know what you want with this is XTC. Sorry, let me see. Oh, it went deeper. That didn't turn out well. Yeah, I haven't looked at XCur in a while. I'd say this is a capitulation. Yeah, this is exactly why you don't put in your whole bag here. You just take bites, and then maybe you bite a little bit higher, but I wouldn't really bite higher. I'd bite down. And then once you break this zone again, let the capitulation play. But I'd say it's pretty floored here.
That's a buy, right?
Yeah, this looks like
That's
look
got
at
a
the
bull
ramp
div on
here.
it too,
Yep.
on the RSI.
Well,
And then-
I don't know if it has it on the RSI. Yeah, it looks like it's
No,
down. Yeah, not really. Maybe from here to there, right?
yeah,
From the entirety of the drop.
no,
Sure,
not from back there.
but not from previous price, which is where I like to see it. I
No.
like to see it from here to here,
Yeah,
and that's my indication to take entries. So I'm not seeing a bull div here, but I am seeing it's a drop here. You got to keep in mind too, this is a low liquidity coin, so like you don't want to go in too heavy into these. Like these things could definitely get annihilated to downside before they see upside. But I do think that like long term, this is a good coin. I think it'll do well in the next cycle. Again, we talked about it. They got apps and stuff on Apple Store that they're paying for. And then they've also got development working on NFTs and stuff like that. And NFTs are going to be really big next cycle. But yeah, that's where it's at. All right. Any other questions?
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Meeting's recording. I'll get it thrown up tonight. Go ahead.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Well,
No problem. All right. We will
Yeah.
chat again this coming week. Go ahead, Madonna. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I say gracias.
Oh, no problem. We'll chat again this coming week. I gave you guys a lot of tickers, guys. Like, look, if you got cash, you're just sitting there, you're like, man, I don't know what to do with it. Like, you have lots of options. All right. You got lots of options. Slow buys is what I'll be doing exactly. Slow buys. Just pay attention to the market. I think there is a reversal incoming. So I think that we are looking really, really, really good in the market. So, all right. I'll see you guys this coming week.
Catch Will.
No problem.
thanks. Bye.